Welcome to my presentation. This is lecture 004, analysis of external reactions of statically determinate structures. Now let us start with equilibrium. Equilibrium means that both the resultant force and the resultant couple are zero. If a structure is to be in equilibrium under the action of a system of loads, it must satisfy the 6 static equilibrium equations. We have summation of forces along x, along y, along z are equals to 0. Summation of moment about x, about y, and about z are equals to 0. The first step in equilibrium analysis is to identify all forces that act on the body. This is accomplished by means of a free body diagrams. Now let us define the free body diagram. The free body diagram, or FBD, of a body is a sketch of the body showing all forces that act on it. The free implies that all supports have been removed and replaced by the forces or reactions that they exert on the body. Procedure for constructing a free body diagrams. So we have number 1. A sketch of the body is drawn, assuming that all supports, surfaces of contact, supporting cables, etc. have been removed. Number 2. All applied forces are drawn and labeled on the sketch. The weight of the body is considered to be an applied force acting at the center of gravity. Now we have type of support. Number 1. A hinge or pin type support is assumed to be connected to the structure with a frictionless pin. So ganito ang itsura niya. This type of supports prevent movement in a horizontal or vertical direction but does not prevent slight rotation about the hinge. So may dalawa tayong reactions, vertical and horizontal. Number 2, roller type of support is assumed to offer resistance to movement only in a direction perpendicular to the supporting surface beneath the roller. So ganito ang itsura niya. There is no resistance to slight rotation about the roller or to movement parallel to the supporting surface. So may isa tayong reaction. Number 3, a fixed end support is assumed to offer resistance to rotation about the support and to movement vertically and horizontally. So ganito ang itsura niya. There are 3 unknowns. We have the magnitude of the force to prevent horizontal movement, the magnitude of the force to prevent vertical movement, and the magnitude of the couple to prevent rotation movement. Example number 1. Determine the reactions of this structure. Now we have composite structure. May frame at saka may weight. So sa point B, mayroon tayong frictionless roller. Then ang radius ng weight is equal to 2 feet. So solusyon. Since naka-composite structure, so mayroon frame, mayroong weight. So pwede nating i-isolate. So ang una nating i-isolate para mas madali yung weight. Ito siya. So gawa tayo ng free body diagram. Number 1. Okay. Using x and y axis. Then we have 20 kips, weight ng object. Then sa point A, we have RA. Then sa point B, mayroon tayong RB. Okay? So, para mas malinaw, ito siya, no? Gamit yung principle of transmissibility. Principle of transmissibility, a force may be moved anywhere along its external effect on a rigid body. So, based on the figure, so mayroon tayong dalawang unknowns, RA at saka yung RB. So, by inspection, ang una nating makukuha ay ang RB. So, gamit ang equilibrium equations, summation of forces along y is equal to 0. Considering upward is positive, so we have RBY, component ng RB along y, minus 20 is equal to 0. So RB times 3 over 5 minus 20 is equal to 0. So using calculator, RB is equal to 33.33 kips. Okay. So para naman sa RA, so summation of forces along X is equal to 0. So we have RBX. So component ng RB along X minus RA is equal to 0. So 33.33 multiplied by 4 over 5 minus RA is equal to 0. So RA is equal to 26.66 kips. Okay. Now, sa frame naman, so we have free body diagram number 2. Ito ang frame. Then, sa point A, we have 26.66 kips. Then, sa point C, since naka-pin, so we have horizontal and vertical component ng reaction, no? So, we have CY, then CX. Then, sa point D, since naka-roller, so vertical reaction lang, or RD, no? Okay. So, by inspection, yung mga unknowns natin, we have 3 unknowns, CY, CX, and RD. So, pwede makuha lahat, no? It's either mag-moment ka sa point C or mag-moment ka sa D. Okay. So, moment tayo sa D. So, summation of moment at point D is equal to 0. So, considering counterclockwise is positive. Okay. So, minus CY times 18. Yung 18, moment arm yan from point D. So, minus 26.66 multiplied by the moment arm, 8 feet, is equal to 0. So, yung CY is equal to 11.85 kips. So, downward. So, mali yung assumption natin. So, palitan natin downward. Okay. So, summation of forces along X is equal to 0. So, by inspection, CX lang at saka yung 26.66. So, CX is equal to 26.66 kips. Then, for the RD, summation of forces along Y is equal to 0. Okay, so RD is equal to 11.85 kips. So, upward. Okay? Example number 2 tayo. Determine the reactions of this beam. Ito siya. Sa point C, we have internal hinge. Then sa point D, mayroon tayong internal ruler. By inspection, we have 3 segments na pwedeng i-isolate para ma-solve yung mga reactions. Mayroon tayong segment ABC na may 5 unknowns. Mayroon tayong segment CD na may 3 unknowns. Then, segment DF na may 4 na unknown. So, ang una nating i-isolate yung segment CD na may 3 unknown lang, no? So, solusyon. So, free body diagram number 1, consider segment CD. So, sa point C, mayroon tayong dalawang reactions. So, we have CY and then CX. Sa point D, since naka-ruler, may isang reaction tayo na required. Then, yung component ng 50 kips, we have vertical component for 40 kips. Then, the horizontal components, 30 kips. Now, using summation of moment at point C, masosolve natin yung reaction sa D, no? Or RD. So, summation of moment at point C is equal to 0, considering counterclockwise is positive. So, RD multiply by 18 feet, yung moment arm from point C, minus 40 times 12 is equal to 0. So, ang RD is equal to 26.667 kips. So, this is upward. Summation of forces along Y is equal to 0 para ma-solve yung CY, no? So, CY plus RD. So, 26.667 minus 40 is equal to 0. So, yung CY natin is equal to 13.333 kips. So, upward. Summation of forces along X is equal to 0. So, by inspection, so, ang CX is equal to 30 kips. Okay? Now, ang sunod natin i-isolate yung segment DF. Free body diagram number 2. Okay? Ito siya. So, sa point A, since naka-ruler, may isang reaction tayo na RE, no? Then, sa F, since naka-pin, may dalawa tayong reaction sa vertical reaction at saka yung horizontal reaction. So, we have Fy and then Fx. Then, sa point D, i-transfer natin yung reaction na nakuha natin sa segment CD, no? So, we have 26.667 kips. Then, yung resultant ng uniformly distributed load. So, upward siya. So, we have 48 kips. So, 12 feet from point F. Then, yung component ng 40 kips along vertical and then horizontal component. Ito siya. So, using summation of moment at point F is equal to 0, masosolve natin yung RE. So, considering counterclockwise is positive, so minus RA times 24, yung moment arm from point F, minus 48 times 12 plus 26.667 times 33 plus 33.333 22.282 times 30 is equal to 0. So using calculator, RE is equal to 54.27 kips. So upward, no? So correct yung assumption natin. Now, summation of forces along Y is equal to 0. So Fy, so makukuha natin yung Fy na plus 54.27 plus 48 minus 26.667 minus 33.282 is equal to 0. So Fy is equal to 42.321 kips. This is downward. So mali yung assumption natin. So gawin nating downward, no, sa figure. Okay? Now for the Fx, so summation of forces along x is equal to 0. So by inspection, Fx is equal to 22.188 kips. Okay? Now, yung pinaka-last na segment na i-isolate natin, yung segment ABC. Okay? So, we have free body diagram number 3. Ito siya. So, sa point A, so since naka-pin, so we have AY, then AX. Then sa point B, naka-roller, so we have RB. Then sa C, 13.333 kips. Then ang horizontal reaction, we have 30 kips. Okay? So, summation of forces along X is equal to 0. So, makukuha natin yung AX. So, AX is equal to 30 kips. So, summation of moment at point A is equal to 0. Considering counterclockwise is positive, makukuha natin yung RB. So, RB times 24 minus 13.333 times 33 minus 20 minus 30 times 3. So, minus 40 times 18 minus 30 times 30 is equal to 0. So, ang RB natin is equal to 90.416 kips. So, this is upward. So, correct yung assumption natin. So, summation of forces along Y is equal to 0. So, makukuha natin yung value ng AY. AY is plus 90.416 minus 13.333 minus 30 minus 30 minus 40 is equal to 0. So, ang AY natin is equal to 22.917 kips. So, this is upward. So, correct yung assumption na direction natin. Okay?